Chubop, chubop, my baby. Chubop, chubop.
Hello, stranger. It seems so good to see you back again. How long has it been?
Seems like a mighty long time. Chubop, chubop, my baby.
It seems that
Today we're talking about one of the biggest buzz movies right now, Moonlight. Moonlight is directed by Barry Jenkins. This is his sophomore film. His first film was a small indie film, Medicine for Melancholy, and here he is with his first film in, I believe, 8 years, and it really is one of the best of the year. Moonlight follows our main character through 3 stages of life. It starts out as when he's about, 7 or 8, I'd say, and he's referred to as the name Little, and then he goes into where he's, in probably 10th grade or so in high school, and he goes by his real name of Chiron, and then you see him later on in life in probably his late 20s referred to as Black. Throughout the movie, he's affected by several people around him. In the first act of the film, he meets kind of a father figure type character in the drug dealer Juan, who is wonderfully played by Mahershala Ali. And, there's one moment that's really special between them. That's one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie that I won't spoil too much, but just it involves a moment of, an older man teaching someone something who probably would never get the opportunity to learn something that seems so basic to the average person in, their growing up in childhood. In the first act of this film, we also get to know Juan's girlfriend, who is terrifically played by Janelle Monáe, as well as Little's drug-addicted mother, also fantastically played by Naomi Harris. The acting throughout this movie is phenomenal. Every character is great. All three of the actors who play Chiron throughout this movie do a wonderful job. Now, as we go through this different stages of his life, through these 3 acts, we see that Chiron is pretty much his whole life a victim of bullying, and, other kids are taunting him, and he has not a good home life at all, with his mother, who's either always wrapped up in drugs or some sort of man problems. And in the second act, we see his first kind of real connection with someone, in the character of Kevin, outside of, his connection with Juan as more of a father figure, and this is as, a peer, which I will say you do see a little bit of Kevin in the first act, but the second and third is where you really get to see them bond. Honestly, past that, I don't want to dip too much more into what happens, and I will say if you've seen the trailer, which is a wonderful trailer, but at the same time gives away, I think, a lot of key elements to what's happening in the movie. But, so, if for some reason you have not seen the trailer yet, I would say skip it and just go see the movie, because it didn't ruin my experience, but there were some moments that I felt like could have been more just gripping had I not already known they were going to happen. As I said, all the performances in this film are wonderful. I'm going to highlight a couple. First, with Mahershala Ali playing the father figure of Juan. He is so good in this. He's getting lots of talk for Best Supporting Actor, and it's all warranted. He's so good in this. And, he's just having a big year as well with, Luke Cage, and previously as Remy on House of Cards. I just feel like he's definitely going to blow up soon. Naomi Harris was also very good, and she's getting a lot of talk too as a possible in the Best Supporting Actress category. But the 2 actors that were the biggest for me and the best performances and the real key to the brilliance of this movie comes down to Trevante Rhodes and Andre Holland, who play Chiron and Kevin in the final act of this film. Throughout much of the first, 2/3 of this movie, you see just a lot of Chiron struggling and just dealing with, figuring out who he is as a person, and also kind of discovering his sexuality as well throughout the film. And you see in some scenes where, his sexuality has kind of been, known by people around him always, but also through a key scene with the character of Juan, we kind of learn that that's something that he's going to have to figure out on his own. And it's really sweet to finally see, so late in his young adult life, for him to finally really start acknowledging it and just embracing it. And it leads to a wonderful finale. Stepping back from the movie, now having seen it about a week ago, and just the more I keep thinking about it, the final 15-20 minutes of this movie are just so wonderful, because it's, as you're watching it, you're just paying attention to the movie, but then you step away and just realize this is something we so rarely see. Two men connecting with each other in a way that is both tender and very heartfelt and very sweet and nuanced. It's not over the top at all. Everything is just very quiet and subtle, and when you look at these guys' faces, you can just see, so many emotions and so many things that you're briefly told about but happen mostly off screen, kind of with, some of the choices Kevin made in his life from high school up until where he's at now, as well as how, Chiron being bullied led to him basically having a life in crime as well, and how they both look at those aspects now, and the way they both still look at each other somewhat the same way as they did, 10 years before. And there's several moments between these two that I just really love. How Kevin's, over-the-top personality is still very much present, and how that balances with, Chiron's, just quiet kind of submissiveness. And I love the choice to make, Chiron's adult character played by Trevante Rhodes, such a big masculine man, and, someone who built this, kind of heavy exterior around him to hide, how just alone and I guess, beat down he feels inside. And all this leads to a final moment of kind of, well, two things right in the last 30 seconds or so that just will send chills through your entire body, or at least did for me. And it's one of the best endings of the year, and it's one of the best movies of the year. This movie's, everyone's talking about it. Everyone's saying, like, you have to see Moonlight, best movie of the year. And everyone's right. It's one of the best movies of the year. I'm giving Moonlight 5 out of 5 stars. Please go see it as soon as you get a chance. You're going to be glad you did. So guys, definitely please go check out Moonlight. It's one of the best films of the year. If you like this video, subscribe down below for more reviews.